Hey, hello everyone, and long time no see, actually a few days. And after the last episode of the soapbox, we have a very similar episode about another one of my races, of which there's only three, so you know it's gonna be easy to guess which one it is. And we are talking about the Nuit. This is actually a response to a request that our dear friend Rayage made. Okay, I probably butchered your name. I'm really sorry about that. Your name could be just as easily Rayage, but I don't think it is. Anyway, if I got it wrong, I'm sorry, and for everyone else, this should be a cautionary tale. If you do ask me for a video, please include your PC's pronunciation, or otherwise I'll just have to make an educated guess, and which means I'll probably get it wrong. So unless you want this wrong pronunciation to stick, because you know, if I make a video, you know that pronunciation is gonna stick around for a while. So unless you want to, you know, be remembered as the guy who has the really funny pronunciation, please tell me the right one. Okay, so after a little bit of rambling, we talk about the Nuit. No, really, it's just like the Python. The plural and the singular are exactly the same. And I know there are lots and lots of creative pronunciations for Nuit around the game. There's Nuit, there's Nuit, and a lot more, but the official pronunciation of this race is Nut, just like suit, but with an N. So, which I think is supposed to be the name of some Egyptian god or goddess. I forget right now. But anyway, uh, Ray's question was along the lines of, please do the same thing you did for the Python, just for the Nut. And so talk about purpose in the game, and you know, what niches you think they fill within the game, and you know, your thoughts when you were writing them, and other stuff like that. And actually, about the Newt, I plan on making an entire series of videos, because there's quite a lot to be said about our little cute undead friends. And today we are just gonna talk about the really big picture about the Newt, what they are in the game, and what they are supposed to be. And you know, I was thinking, whenever I get to respond about the purpose of something within the game, something I wrote within the game, I always have a hard time answering, because you know, I don't really think about the purpose of something when I actually start typing it. Uh, this reminds me of one of my favorite books, a scene from the book A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin, and I love that book, and there are lots of things that really stayed with me about that book. But early on, there's a scene in which the protagonist, a young Ged, um, is walking around the forest with his tutor, with his mentor, the older wizard Ogion the Silent. And you know, because Ogion is always silent and doesn't really speak a lot, and Ged is getting frustrated while they are gathering herbs around the forest, and at some point he asks, "What's the purpose of this herb?" And you know, Ogion just looks at him and like looks at him weird and says, "I don't know. I have no idea. What's your purpose?" And you know, the bottom line is, sometimes it's really hard to talk about purpose, because things don't really have that much of a purpose beforehand. Maybe they acquire it later. Maybe, you know, purpose is something that oftentimes exists only in our heads and not in reality. So Yeah, I'm totally rambling now, right now, but anyway, about the Nuit, I didn't really have a specific concept in mind, except I really wanted to have a race of body jumpers. So creatures that can shift from one body to another and occupy one for a short to mid length of time and then move on. And I thought this would give people the opportunity to roleplay themselves in different bodies at different times, and maybe give them a different perspective of what it means to roleplay maybe even different races, because you can borrow bodies from a lot of different races. And so were the Nuit born. Actually, in their very first incarnation, the Nuit were simply called the intrinsic undead, and that's what actually the word Nuit, and I always forget to add this to the ancient tongue list, means, because a Nuit is a creature that's undead by its own power. It doesn't depend on a gnosis mark from the god of undeath, Alder, and that Alder is the official pronunciation for the god of undeath. And so that's why they are called intrinsic. But okay, that's really trivia. What niches do the Nuit fill within the game? Okay, this one is a bit hard. They are natural wizards, of course, but that's mostly because of Sehova. Really, they tend to be wizards because that's what they do best, because they aren't really very suited to being warriors, or, even some trade skills are best left to someone else, because the Nuit are quite sluggish. They have a distinct lag between the time their brain issues an order and the time when the body actually carries out that order. And maybe for a normal human this time is 1/10 of a second, but for a Nuit it is several tenths of a second. And that's obviously a distinct disadvantage in a lot of practical contexts. So what they do best, of course, is being wizards. But before that, I'd like to explain a little bit more why the general personality of the Nuit race is aloof and quiet and seemingly very cold and detached. And it's not that people instantly turn that way when they get turned into a Nuit. That's not actually what happens. A Nuit can be really anything and can have any kind of personality, but there's some kind of what I call a selection bias. Let's see, there are several kinds of people, okay, several kinds of personalities, and not all of them are equally suitable for an existence as a Nuit. So if you have a very strong relationship with your body, so if you are a sensory type, the type of person that needs to touch, so the kind of person that loves good food, and so has a lot of earthly experiences, and in that case, that kind of people will have a really hard time living on as a Nuit. So what happens is that kind of people usually tends to commit suicide, because really they don't have a lot to live for anymore. Just as well, a person who thrives on a rich social life suddenly find themselves basically banned from society, because the Nuit have this really bad reputation, because they always look at you like they're gonna steal your body soon, and sometimes they actually want to do just that. So what happens is that people who are really extroverted and social find that they no longer have a lot to live for and commit suicide. And people who are borderline, or like an average personality, they tend to get colder in time and more detached as time goes on, because of, sometimes because of the sheer boredom of this existence as an undead. Uh, just imagine what happens if you what would happen if you just became immortal overnight. And you suddenly have a lot of time, and you don't need to do really anything with that time, because you don't need to eat, so you don't need to work either. You have no needs in the world except maybe jumping to another body every couple of years. What happens then? What do you do? Okay, suddenly you find yourself bored because you don't know what to do, and everything gets boring after a while. So you can even maybe set on a quest to read every book ever written, and after a while it gets boring too. Or you can do other stuff, but anyway, you need a really strong drive and motivation to keep on living this way after a while, because your mortal acquaintances and the people you have an emotional link to will eventually die, and you keep living, and so you tend in the end to lose everything you have. And it takes a really strong willpower, sometimes I think a scary willpower, to keep moving on. And there are 500, well, a bit fewer than that now, but still 500 wizards just like that on Sahova. So single-minded in their purpose that they keep on living despite having lost everything else mostly. And that's scary. That's one of the scariest places in the game, if you just stop to think about it for a moment. So this video is already running a bit too long for my tastes, so I'll cut it here for now, but I have a lot more to say about the Nuit, so stay tuned for more. Eventually there will be more, or maybe you can ask specific questions of me about this race, which I really love. And for now I'll just say goodbye, but I have to make like a dozen other videos, and so yeah, it's goodbye for now, but I'll see you soon. Bye.